Many of us see Tesla as a disruptor. Today, I invite Boon Tee, who is a fellow Tesla investor, back to the channel to hear his views on who exactly Tesla is disrupting. Click subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Boon Tee, welcome back to the channel.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a few months.
Yes.
In your view, what do you see as a disruptor?
In my view, when we talk about disruptions, I think many people will relate it to technology. There must be a new technology, then there's disruptions, right? But to me, disruptions sometimes it's not about technology. Sometimes it's just the way or different way to do business. So, say for example, for Tesla, we all know that they are doing electric vehicles, which before Tesla, there's no electric vehicles. It's all ICE, right? Internal combustion engine. So they basically create a new product category. So that one you can call it as a disruptions. But I would say like just looking specifically on how they sell the cars. Okay, so they are not selling like the old like automakers are doing, which is like selling through dealership. So right now we have all sorts of new technology. For example, now there's online website, you can do your orders like how you buy iPhones. So they've totally changed how the cars is sold, right? So to me, this is also one form of disruption because this different way of doing business is already able to cut out the middleman and also bring the cost down. So to me, this is a form of disruption as well to the automakers industry.
There were very few EVs before Tesla. For Singaporeans, you see Blue SG, you see some other brands with EVs. Even GM was one of the first companies to build EVs a few decades ago. But no one else but Tesla really brought it up to the mainstream.
Yep.
So Boon Tee talked about disruption, one being the technology from ICE to EV, but also a go-to-market from selling through dealers directly to consumers on a website.
Yep.
For Tesla, a lot of people say that they're disrupting the automotive industry.
Yep.
Who exactly in the automotive industry are they disrupting? Like ICE car manufacturers, car suppliers, dealers? Tell us more.
I would say that the first one definitely is the automakers, the ICE automakers. Because for those who have drive EVs before, they will know a very big difference between the two. Say for example, if you are creating just another ICE autos, right? It would just be like the cars that we know. But we know that EV is very different in terms of the user experience. Say for example, their acceleration is just so much better, right? So they can build a supercar using EV. So this is a form of different technology that I think is very different, and then it gives different kind of joy to the customer as well. That's why there's people like very bullish on companies that having this kind of new product category, right? Yeah.
What I'm hearing is the ICE car manufacturers.
Yeah.
What's stopping them from just making EVs themselves? What's so hard about it?
I would say that it is very difficult, not because they can't produce the technology, because many of this technology, right, is just like actually they can copy each other. It's just that for these traditional automakers, when they do something that is totally different, it will be cannibalizing their existing business. Yep. So for example, like the first digital camera is actually invented by Kodak, but they can't do it because if they try to do too much on the digital cameras, right, it actually hurt their main business. So I think there's a conflict of interest when it comes to decisions on whether to like expand the business in the new lines, right? So it'll be hard for them to compete.
Will you say Tesla has disrupted the automotive industry sufficiently that we're already at the point of no return where the world will transition to EVs? It's a matter of when and not if.
Definitely yes. Because actually if you just go back a bit, right? So look at the history of the EV. Actually before Tesla ramp up their productions, right? When they are still trying to prove the concept of EV, there are many people doubt that whether this will happen or not, because there's a lot of issues, right? For example, like even you can create an EV doesn't mean that you can create at a cost that is sufficiently low that you can make a profit out of it. So I think for Tesla, what they have done is that first they have the prototype. Secondly, they prove that this can be scaled and this can be scaled at a profitable way. So I think that's the things that actually Tesla proved it to the entire auto industry.
And that's the essence of Tesla's disruption, isn't it?
Yep.
It's not so much that they can make an EV, because every car company can make an EV.
Yeah.
But no one else in the world is making EVs profitably.
Yep.
The closest to it, as we know right now, is BYD.
Yeah.
And even if they can make it profitably, no one's making it at Tesla's scale. Again, the closest to it is still BYD and SAIC in China.
Yep.
Today, a lot of the Chinese and Korean car companies are embracing EVs. So are they being disrupted by Tesla?
I'll say that I actually don't know much about these Korean automakers and Japan's or China's automakers, right? My focus is mostly on Tesla in terms of the car business. But I would say that these automakers, they are quite ambitious when it comes to their roadmap on what they try to do in the EV, because we all know that this will be the futures, right? The futures is heading towards sustainable kind of products and solutions. So they know that's the future, and they are willing to spend and willing to reinvest into their business to gain a market share of what is basically new. So I quite respect of their goal and ambitions, and I think that's good things, right? Because different companies, they innovate differently, so they try different stuff, different experimentations. So I believe that they will have a market share in the future. Yeah.
What I'm sensing from Boon Tee here is that the newer car companies, especially those in China or even the more established ones in Korea, they still have that challenger mindset. They're still willing to embrace the technology.
Yep.
Whereas you see in our region, like in Japan, Toyota and Honda has been much slower in adopting EVs. It's taking them some time
Yep.
to really commit to EVs. And there have been a number of different technologies in the past. Some car companies are still embracing hydrogen as well.
Yep.
Who else is being disrupted in the automotive industry apart from the car manufacturers? How about the supply chain?
Yeah.
Because ICE, you have so much more different supply. So you think of engine manufacturers or different car part suppliers like Bosch.
Yeah.
What's happening there in your view?
Yeah. I think EVs, right, because it is very different if you just look at the manufacturing and so on, right? So before Tesla is into making cars, actually the suppliers are all supply parts that is used to do all the ICE cars, right? So they require an entirely different parts and different solutions just for the EVs. So in terms of how Tesla's disrupt this area, I would say that it's not so much about the what kind of products or what kind of parts that they need to make. Sometimes it's about like they need to do it differently. If you go back to, again, we are comparing the old industry versus new one, which is represented by Tesla, right? The old business is mature, and then they take some time to figure out the way that this is how they do business. And sometimes, you know, the attitudes, they become like, okay, a bit slack and not willing to innovate and just want to gain that little margins that they have and share equally, right? I think that's what they have been doing. But what Tesla disrupt here is more like the approach of doing things. Like Tesla will really challenge them to say that, okay, I want this type of requirement, you do it for me, this type of scale. Everything is just like, you know, mind-blowing high, like very ambitious, right? So, but what can Tesla do when all these suppliers just don't want to cooperate, right? They say, we cannot make it. But Tesla way is just to say, okay, if you can't do it for me, I'll do it myself. So I think this is, it will put a challenge, maybe not to the specific items, but just the way of like approaching things. Like now we have players to say, you don't want to do, I will just do it, right? So in terms of suppliers, they will think that, okay, I have to reinvest in my own products, in my own offerings, just to match up, right? Because the moment I just slack, then I'm behind and Tesla just do their stuff, right? So they will just run away.
Yeah.
So I think this is very good from innovation perspective.
That's quite disruptive also from a mindset and industry perspective.
Yeah.
In the past, most car OEMs said, we specialize. The more we specialize, usually the more profits we make.
Yes.
Tesla is saying, if you can't do it, we will do it ourselves. And
Yes.
that's scary because this is not a car company that is small now. They're already making 1.4 million cars this year, at least 2 million cars next year.
Yep.
That's huge volumes.
Yes.
So as a supplier, you're really going to do your best to try to fulfill Tesla's needs, or else
Yeah.
Tesla's going to fulfill their own needs.
Yep.
That's quite a big mindset shift.
Yeah.
As we go all the way down the value chain, then we have how car companies sell to users. Many of us know that Tesla sells direct. You go to tesla.com, you can buy a Model 3 and Model Y. For many other car OEMs, they are trying to go direct too.
Yep.
Ford's been trying for a while with the EV business in the US, but they're still getting a lot of challenges and pushbacks. Why do you think that's the case?
So I would say there are many reasons. It's not so easy to like just convert to totally new models, right? Things has been working well and they are doing the dealership models for all these years, right? So if you want to just change to different models, say for example, direct to consumer, you have to build the entire ecosystem, right? So for example, you need to make use of the technology, you need to basically change the model, and this is hard for the companies to do that because they also have a lot of problems that they are facing that this may not be their number one priority. I would say that that's one of the reasons. Of course, there are other reasons as well. For example, as we talked earlier, right? There's all these dealership might be pushing back. There might be some regulations that they are facing. So a lot of things to navigate in order to shift entirely to a new model, which I appreciate. It is hard. Yeah.
So there are two things here, as Boon Tee brought up. One, for dealerships, they're not going to take the change lying down because this is an accidental threat for them. If all car companies sell direct to consumers, what roles will dealer have? So dealerships actually have strong lobbying presence in many states and countries. Like in the US, Tesla still cannot sell directly to consumers in some states.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I believe Texas is one of them, despite it being Tesla's headquarters.
Yeah.
Then we have companies that are trying to change. Over the past few years, we've heard of Volkswagen. Herbert Diess, their previous CEO, was evangelizing the whole shift from ICE to EVs, building a dedicated software arm, Carrion. Unfortunately, not everyone in the company was on board.
Yeah.
When he invited Elon Musk to join their leadership meetings, it was not well received.
Yeah.
It didn't have the intended effect of it. Instead of inspiring his team, they felt almost insulted.
Yeah.
So even for leaders who want to drive visionary change, he's already the CEO of the company. And he finds it so hard. There's almost an element of, it's not just a technology, it's the culture.
Yes.
How do you feel?
I totally agree with that. So it's not like you are the CEO, you make all the changes, right? Because ultimately for companies like Volkswagen, the CEO is just one of the employees, right? So they still have their board to face and so on, right? That's why I would say it's very important to have a visionary leader because you really need a leader to have a vision and then to rally the peoples and to follow his visions. In Volkswagen case, I would say that he might be a good manager, but I don't know whether when it comes to visions, is he capable to lead the companies to go on another path, right? So I think this is not an easy thing. Yeah, I would say that for Tesla, it might be easier for them because they start from scratch as an EV companies. So they start from scratch doing something that's different from the norm, right? So it might be easier for them. It's very not so easy for the other companies that is like changing the way of doing business. So that's why they are being disrupted.
So it's not just about the leader, it's about the people and the team, the followers. And that's why being an employer of choice is probably another very big competitive advantage. We can hire the best, brightest talent in industry who are more receptive to change, who are more comfortable with taking risks that allows the pace of innovation to continue.
Yep.
Which becomes more important as cars transition from like dumb feature phones like Nokia to smartphones like iPhones. That means there's now autonomous driving. Cars will drive itself in the future. Tesla's version, they call it full self-driving. In that future, what will full self-driving disrupt? Would it be ride-hailing companies, taxi companies? What's your take?
I would say that for once cars start to drive themselves, it will be a totally different world, right? So because the same technology can be applied elsewhere also. But come back to the disruption that we're talking about, robotaxi for sure will be number one because basically when talk about robotaxi, we're talking about like how to bring the cost down, right? And now we know all the taxi that we are taking, there's still people need to drive it, right? Once you get rid of the people, you get additional one seat, and then you drive the cost down and you increase the utility of the car, right? So it's like a big game changer for the entire robotaxi or the ride-hailing industry. So that's a big thing.
It's going to disrupt industry, ride-hailing and taxis. But will it really make a change to society? Some people think of it as last time we used to manually wash our clothes.
Yeah.
Now we've got washing machines. It's automated, but it doesn't really like change our life dramatically.
Yeah.
How do you feel?
You won't feel it once you're already in there, but the moment you need to shift back to the old way, you will find it very weird. Say for example, now you go back to a feature phones, you will see like it's a big difference, right? Yeah. I hope that all these once it take like 1 or 2 decades to play out, right? It becomes like a normal things, right? Like the new life is like, okay, whenever I want to go to somewhere, I just summon the cars, picking it up, go to the destinations. It's just seamless, right? So that's the future that we are looking forward to.
When we think of disruption, for many of the car companies today, they're already finding it challenging, disrupting their go-to-market. I mean, selling direct to consumers, disrupting their products going from ICE to EVs.
Mm.
Do you think it's almost a really high barrier for them to try to become autonomous driving companies? Because the culture of software requires rapid iteration.
Yeah, definitely. Even for companies like Tesla, we all know that they are not saving costs when it comes to building all these features, right? And yet they are taking so many years to still doing it. So I would say that this is a challenge that is very hard. And that's the difficult part. It's very hard. The good thing is that all this technology that is used to build autonomous technology, right? It can be applied in other places easily. I would say that. So they just need to adapt it, and I think these are some things that it will be the this will be serving the futures.
And it could even be a good thing for Tesla that it's so hard to build autonomous vehicles. If it's taking Tesla 8 years,
Yes.
imagine how long it would take a GM, a Toyota, a Volkswagen.
Yep.
And all of these autonomous driving for Tesla, they recently shared an AI day is powered by, again, they're building a Dojo supercomputer.
Yep.
It was so powerful, they're saying that when they actually raised it up, it caused a trip in their power grid.
Yeah.
These supercomputers are custom made, built for a very dedicated purpose to help their machine learning in understanding and training
Yep.
their full self-driving neural nets.
Yep.
Some people believe that one day in the future, like Amazon when they first built their own in-house servers, if Tesla opens up the Dojo supercomputer, it could become the Amazon Web Services of machine learning. How do you feel?
Yeah, the keyword that I picked from your just now what you have been saying is that the custom made, right? So I think for those who are watching AI Day, right, I don't know whether many people actually appreciate what has been presented on the topics of Dojo. To me, because I'm looking at semicons industry quite in details, right? So I know that, okay, when it comes to semicon, sometimes it's not so much about like you are creating a better product. Like we are doing the same thing, but you are better than mine or mine is better than yours. It's not like that. It's all talking about the trade-off. So when you try to maximize some aspects, then you will lose out in other aspects. But just for the Dojo, I think they are doing very different things here because they know what are the problems that they are solving. They know that in order to solve this at a 10x or 50x kind of effectiveness or efficiencies, right, they have to let go of something. So they can't do this by using the off-the-shelf products that's offered by others. So they have to customize it from the ground. That's why they are able to have all kinds of different breakthrough and really have products or have tools that can help them to really fast forward the entire journeys of AI. So I think that's the technology parts, and I'm very glad to see that this progress and the approach that they are adopting. Come back to your questions on AWS, right? I would say that yes, there's always an opportunity to grab a market share because whatever that they're doing now, because they are Tesla, they are doing now. But there are a lot of problems, all the AI related problems, right, will require all these AI, machine learning, training, and so on. So if you are able to bring down the cost and have the same effects, right, it becomes a solution that other business will look for. Maybe not now, but it should be the case, let's say 5 years down the road or 10 years down the road. And I do believe that this kind of solutions can be helpful for other companies, and it is something that Tesla can monetize them in the future.
Exactly, especially as the whole world is going to develop more machine learning applications.
Yep.
Every industry. It's not,
Yes.
it's not confined to one industry.
Yeah.
With all of these changes, Tesla bought, there was also announced on Tesla AI Day.
Yeah.
Some believe that this will be Tesla's final product. It has the largest total addressable market, the world's labor force, basically, all forms of labor, from elderly care, childcare, security, companionship.
Yep.
And some people believe that this would have the biggest disruption to society,
Yep.
more so than any other product that Tesla is currently even thinking about. It is many years away. How do you see this playing out?
Yeah, I do agree with you that the total addressable markets, right, is very big. I do agree on that. It's just that now, because we have seen the prototype, okay, they're still early, they're still doing it, so this will be like at least 5 to 10 years journey, right? The good thing is that how big is the TAM? It really depends on how useful is the product. So it's not limited by the markets, you know, they are really constrained by the capability of that machines. So I think this is the good things, right? Because For example, if we're talking about cars, right? Let's say cars, there's no demand from the customer. You can build a much better cars. If no one buying, then basically you are limit your markets, right? But for robots, is that there's no limit to what is possible. So they are only limited by how can they make the product more useful. Yeah. So I think this is I'm actually looking forward to the future created. Yeah.
What kind of milestones do you see happening over the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years that would excite you?
Just the applications, because actually after the AI days, right, I've seen the approach, and then the first thing that I'm doing is that I try to visualize or try to imagine what kind of use case. So some use case could be start from very simple stuff. For example, like just a robot to carry something from point A to point B, can help you to ship your parcels, right? For example. So this is kind of like the simple stuff. But as the capability increase and they are able to do more things, right, then you'll see that the use case will increase, right? So I think just looking at the use case is something that is like, I think that's the future.
A lot of people are seeing a very fancy robot, or you may see last year's video where a human and robot costume was dancing. But if you think of Tesla bot as a platform,
Yeah.
like how the iPhone is a platform, like the iPhone truly took off around iPhone 3G when they launched the App Store.
Yeah.
Before that, they had some sales, but after the App Store, all kinds of developers with their own creativity made the product a lot more useful.
Yep.
So imagine Tesla bot as a platform, say 5 years from now, and you download the app, how to iron your clothes, how to dance, how to walk a dog, and an app store which crowdsources the applications to a wide range of people.
Yeah.
That's going to be a very useful platform. Our platform as a phone, our iPhone, is already so valuable. Imagine it on a humanoid robot. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Does it sound like science fiction, or do you see some true disruption happening?
You always be science fiction until we see it, right? So, for example, your phone is a science fiction to someone who is like 20 years back, right? Yeah.
More processing power here than all the computers that put man on the moon in the 1960s.
Yeah. It's true.
Do you feel that even if Tesla fails to make a commercially viable Tesla bot, that the effort and all the R&D and all the learnings in that journey would already be very disruptive to society?
Yep. I think the technologies that they're building now for the purpose of the bot, right, can be used in many other areas. Because basically what Tesla is doing is they are the machines that create the machines, right? And what are the scope of the machine that it can create? So I don't see there's a limit, right? They can do all sorts of different things. The key things is that what are the difference compared to today's machine versus the past is that now we have all the machines learning, all the AIs. So it's very different. Yeah.
Disruption isn't binary. Like Tesla bot can succeed and fail in unexpected ways in the years to come. Just like how we see Tesla as a company today. 8 years ago, we probably thought full self-driving was a done deal. It's not yet. You'll probably have a wide rollout by end of this year. But it's clearly disrupted, like let's say, the luxury car market. No one ever expected 8 years ago that Tesla would sell more cars than BMW, Mercedes. They are basically the number one luxury car in most countries.
Yep.
Full stop. So disruption happens in different ways. My final question to Boon Tee is, how is Tesla disrupting your stock portfolio?
I would say that Tesla is helping to bring out my portfolio. Yeah. So I think, yeah, for portfolio wise, I'm not so concerned. I know that we are having this kind of like drawdowns recently, but to me, when I look at AI days, I think bright future ahead. So that's what I'm focusing on.
It's again it's single digits in your portfolio. It's not a majority of your portfolio.
Yeah.
So there's enough buffer. You say it's part of a still more diversified portfolio
Yes.
for you.
Yes. Yeah.
Over time, some people believe that Tesla will continue to grow, and probably even without buying any Tesla stock itself, let's see how this percentage plays out over time.
Yes.
Yeah. Boon Tee, thank you for sharing your insights. Let us know down in the comments, how else do you think Tesla is disrupting the world or your stock portfolios? If you found this video useful, please click the like button.
Yeah.
Hit subscribe to see Tesla's future in disrupting our world.